Good morning. Hope you're doing well today. I encouraged in the Lord again by His Word and the things He's speaking to my heart. And yesterday I gave a message on the importance of taking time to mourn when you're in a season of sorrow. And today I want to talk to you about taking time to celebrate and learning to rejoice. And for many of us, especially if you're a believer, we have not understood the value of rejoicing, the value of celebration. But I want to give you news today that we serve a God who is very celebratory. If you look throughout the Old Testament, there are many festivals of the Lord in which He told the people to celebrate. He told the people to rejoice. And when you look in the New Testament, we see it time and time again where God is telling us to rejoice and to rejoice always. And my mind and heart when it comes to this topic of rejoicing and celebrating comes to Luke chapter 15. And in this chapter, Jesus tells three separate stories. And in each of these stories, there's a common thread that you may just read past and maybe read past in the past. And the common thread is to rejoice. And that God in each of these pictures is telling us to rejoice. So the first story is Jesus talking about a man who loses a sheep, and he has all these other sheep, 99 other sheep that he is has his eye on, he can see, but there's this one sheep that is lost. And so this guy who lost a sheep goes and searches out for that sheep. And when he finds that last sheep, it says, when he found it, verse 5, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And then he goes on to verse 6, and he says to all his friends and neighbors, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep, which was lost. So here this guy finds a sheep, and he starts to rejoice. Now, the cool thing is that the guy who finds the sheep is representative of God. God is a God of joy. God is a God who rejoices over us. God is a God who celebrates. And for many of us, you've been turned off by religion, not by God, but you've been turned off because religion has shown you a picture of a God who is actually not happy, a God who doesn't rejoice, a God who's always angry. But that's not the picture of God that Jesus gives. In fact, He gives another story of a person who loses a coin. Now, I am really good at losing things. In fact, I lost my wallet this week, and I was so happy when I found my wallet. I lose my wallet all the time. I lose things all the time. And just in the same way, in this story, when the person finds the coin that they lost, it said, rejoice with me, for I found the piece which I lost. Again, this idea of rejoicing. God is a God of joy. He rejoices over us. He rejoices when a lost person is found. And many of us have a struggle with rejoicing because we've been taught that God is stern, God is hard, God is harsh, and He's not into rejoicing. But let me tell you this. God is a God of joy and rejoicing. And to be His people, we have a responsibility and a privilege to be people of joy. The last of the three stories is Jesus talking about this man and his two brothers. And the two brothers both have this father who's a loving father, a caring father. And what happens in the story is this one son takes his inheritance and goes off and he lives in this foreign land for years and finally comes back. When he comes back to the father throws an amazing party for the son. Now, the older brother cannot celebrate the younger brother's coming home. He does not want to celebrate it. In fact, he's upset with the father for throwing a party. Here's my message to you. Religion does not want to celebrate. Religious people don't want to celebrate. They're not happy for the good things when the prodigal son comes home. They want to judge him. They want to think that he needed to work his way back. But God is a God of rejoicing. And He's rejoicing in that story. He's saying, it was right that we should be merry and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. The Father's saying, it is right to rejoice. And the last scripture I want to share with you today is from the Apostle Paul. He says, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. There is always a time for joy. There's always a reason to rejoice. No matter how hard life is at this season for you, there's always a reason for you to rejoice. So I want to encourage you today, Find the good things that God is doing. Rejoice knowing that God is a good God. He's a happy God. He's not out to get you. He's not out to harm you. He's not out to hurt you. He's rejoicing with you as you rejoice with the good things that he's doing in your life. God bless you. Have a great day. Be sure to rejoice in the Lord always.